Welcome to Benchwarmers, a WOSO podcast, episode 26. 26, I mean, for Australian listeners out there who were great fans of reality, well, not reality television, but game show television of our 2000s, the 26 is the Deal or No Deal episode. So let's make a deal out of today and let's do the business, to be honest. But this week is different to other weeks. Why is it different to other weeks? It is, it's international break. I don't play football because I go for the Tillies every week. That's all I've got, really. I should have. Next time we have, actually, to be fair, the next week is international-ish.
Yeah, it still keeps going.
It's just not an international break. It's the international period, I guess, where most of the tournaments that are supposed to be on now are playing. We will get to the the latter of that at some point in this podcast. But were there any number 26s in your head? Do you have any number 26s?
Yeah, of course I did.
Who do you have?
Katie Reed, of course.
That's all you've got. Wow.
That's all I have.
Okay, fair enough.
She's the only one taking up my brain space.
To be fair, I don't think City have a 26. And if we do, they're probably not in the squad. Or they're out on loan.
That's the thing about 26. Unless you're incredibly good and have like a niche repertoire of numbers, then 26 is not a typical ball.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if she is for Canada. I think she is for Canada. I don't know if she is for Chelsea, but I think Kadisha Buchanan is 26. But that's a guess. So if it's in post, if she is for Chelsea, she will stay. If she is for Canada, she will stay. And if she's not, no one will hear this but me and Allegra. So that's great. But as we said, we'll start with what is closest to home, which is the Asia Cup, which has been powering through already at game week 2. We have games that are actually kind of on right now.
They just finished. One game just finished,
which is crazy stuff, as like football is on at our time, which is just like absurd. It's not on it's on, like you can get vitamin D and watch football, like the highest of high level of football.
You do not have to lose sleep for football.
Yeah, exactly. It's different to the dub, but we'll get to that North Korea Bangladesh game that just finished eventually. But we will start with what matters most to me, at least, not necessarily to Allegra.
Hey, I'm repping.
I mean, she is repping, and there is repping here all over the park if you're watching the audio-visual spectacular. But Matildas did play the Philippines to open up this cup. Look, I like to think of us as a positive podcast. I think we do our fair share of negativity, but that comes later. But we will start with what matters. So we won. Good. We got 3 points against the Philippines, which I'd say is a positive. Claire Wheeler, someone who has caused me genuine nightmares as a Manchester City supporter, repping the blue and white for Everton at Goodison Park. Something you never want to see is Claire Wheeler streaming down the line, but she was fantastic for the Matildas. Probably my player of the match, just cutting off any potential attack that the Philippine the Philippine management or style of play allowed them to push forward through the width or through the center. And then we had some good moments. I think it was Claire Wheeler whipping that ball in, and then Caitlin Ford heading it back across goal to the Sam Kerr opener. It had to be Sam. It was a very good goal. And then Rasso's almost goal, just offside with Gorry's ball to her, was very nice. The chest down and finish was good. Look, if Arsene Wenger had his way in the world, we would be 2-0 up in this game, and I wouldn't be that short on my list of positivity. But I mean, Chloe Lincoln first game didn't have much to do, and we held around 85% of the possession, so you can't argue with that. But what you can argue with is how we use possession, how we attack the line, the low block that Philippines were going at, with their style of play that ultimately allowed them to hold on to a 1-0 win, but we were not able to break down those lines. And I think a lot of it falls on the players, obviously, but a lot of it falls on Joe Montemuro as well. I mean, when you looked at the lineup and you see Kata's in that left back position, Heatley and Hunt in the middle, I understand that, but it does make 40 limited on that left side to not be able to have that overlapping structure from a left back who can bomb on. And it's not that Catley can't do it, it's that she just didn't do it, and I don't know if she was told not to. I don't think you have to be excessively fast to overlap. You just have to provide a space, and then if your timing is good enough, it's not just about pure speed and acceleration. Catley could do that, but she did have one moment where she cut inside and had that vice captain's finish, according to the comms. I love when a player gets called a vice captain because, I mean, ultimately it means that she should have been the captain. A vice captain's finish is what happened because she missed, and then a captain's finish would have been a goal, really. But, we used 3 out of 5 subs. I'm not impressed with that. We have a tournament to get through. We have players we don't want to burn out. And you have players like Chids, Hollymack, Nevin, Rule, Torpy, Rankin, all on the bench. There's 4 fullbacks there. Take off Ellie, give her some time. Take off Catters, give her some time. EVE's playing in the 10 and not getting subbed off, but eventually get subbed off for Alana Kennedy. So we're regressing. We're playing more defensively, and Holly McNamara not getting a game at all. I just think it sets this precedent where Kerr is playing a full 90 against the Philippines. This is her first full 90 in nearly 4 months, like since November 2025. Like, if Sonia's not playing her full 90s, what? Like, I know the intensity of the game wasn't there and they weren't putting pressure on her to be able to come off, but there's no reason why Mary and Holly couldn't have closed out this game. There was no jeopardy on it. There was no reason not to use all 5 subs. Before I go into my rants on what a low block is and how to break it down, is there something you want to add? Am I going the wrong way? Am I looking at it the wrong way?
No, I think you're completely correct. I think that if we look at how the Tillies scored and they're also their offside goal, it came from direct football. It came from players taking risks. Claire Wheeler took the risk to take on her player, something we didn't see from the likes of Ellie Carpenter, who was playing in that wing-back position. I think we saw it a little bit more for Ford, but because of the fact she didn't have an overlap, she really had to just completely drive the attack on that left side. But Claire Wheeler took the ball on, she took the player on, and she whipped in a fantastic cross that Kerr had to score. And there were times also very similar to that where we saw EVE similarly get a cross in and should have scored, didn't score. Hayley Rasso's goal was a direct ball from Gorry, completely over everyone, a beautiful chest down, and she scored, but it was offside. So this is direct football. This is Tilly's brand football. I can really appreciate that Joe Montemuro wants to add an aesthetic palette to this Tilly's side, especially playing against a team like the Philippines or like Iran, which we'll go on to later. But I think in an opening game on a home soil, it is fundamentally the idea that you need to drive your team to success in a way that galvanizes not only the squad, but the country around you. I think that this was a game that for anybody, maybe not on the fence, but as a Tillies fan wanting to re-engage in that 2023 momentum, this is a boring game. You're not getting involved with this Tillies team. And what the 2023 side showed us was a team that is entertaining to watch if that is what you want to come into football to watch.
I think we do have a lot of rose-tinted glasses for that World Cup run. I think that France game was aggressive. It was bold with the Gustafsson ball, but again, a 0-0 that led to penalties. The only game I can really say this brand of Tilly aesthetic comes through is that Canada game that I recall being do or die, and that's kind of that till I die energy, the 4 goals in really 2 goals in quick succession early and then 2 in the second half, which is kind of what I thought would happen in this game, where we're getting 1 goal early, solidify the game, and then get 2 or 3 late. But what was really bothering me was the lack of ambition to play through the center of the park, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm going to give the Philippines all their credit. I'm going to give Mark Toscado all the credit he deserves for playing that very miserly low block, which, I understand is not easy to break through, but if you trust yourself, if Jomo's going to play this Monty ball, this football that we've seen for Lyon, the football we've seen for that you've seen the best of at Arsenal, it's a team that obviously I'm sure there are games you might forget in the Monty Ball days where you're playing, I don't know, Leicester in the WSL and it's a 1-0, 2-0 game management Jomo game.
But the thing is, we never had that.
There are also games where you smash teams 6-1,
and that's Jomo Ball. It's not this conservative, like passing laterally kind of football. This is a football that is fundamentally based on scoring goals, and I think it's a football bred out of an Australian system that wants to revitalize a 4-4-2 from not being necessarily like some ugly, stodgy football, but transform it into a 4-4-3 that is aggressive in its press. And we didn't see that. We did not see any pressing, and every 1v1 in that game, the Tillies could have won every 1v1, and they
there's no
chose
question
not to.
about it. Yeah, 100%. And it hurts more when the synchronicity of our wingers and our forwards don't connect well.
Yeah.
I think watching Olivia McDaniel, the Filipino goalkeeper, collect, I want to say 12 of our crosses, and then probably watching 3 or 4 of them from Rasso and Carpenter, specifically on that right side, whipping it just for a goal kick, like not getting it in play. Sam not pressuring the goalkeeper until the last cross of the game is just not enough. It doesn't show the ambition to want to get on the sheet. I think it's weird watching EVE take our corners, a player who's probably our tallest players taking our corners. And I understand, like, you take who you want to take it, but I've seen Kadders take corners. I know Kyra's not in the squad right now, and I not entirely sure about her return date, but it was just a bit of a like a disappointing start. And look, I understand that again, when I'm talking about the Monty Ball era in that Arsenal run, you won cups, and when you win cups, you don't have to win 6-7-1. You can win 2-3-0, and there are games where if you look back on the Monty era where you do keep clean sheets, and it's not always high scoring because you don't get it on the sheet. But the only chances I can think of to remember in that game is that Catley strike over the bar and the Rasso disallowed goal. So it's not like we had a barrage of chances where we should have won 2-3-4-0. That this was a low block that was ultimately respected, which I didn't really like. Why not try and pass through it? Why not try and force bobbles, take shots from deeper and distance, and then force a parry or a rebound? I think there are little stuff that, I mean, I hoped we would rotate for the Iran game, and there's like, I don't know, if we played like that again for the Iran game, there's no point of any Australian being a golden boot or a player of the tournament nominee if we're not going to go out there and be ambitious and go for it. And I'm glad we did against Iran. I guess if we're going to swing into the Iran game, a 4-0 victory. We did have a few changes, I will say. I'm very happy that we had Fowler starting. Amy Sayer comes in. Lana Kennedy comes in. Obviously, Wheeler out, I assume just rested for the South Korea game, same as Rass and Gorry. Charlie Rule coming in for Kadders, and Nevin starting over Heatley. It is an interesting lineup, to say the least. Nevin in the central pocket, which meant Hunt is still playing. I don't know if... I mean, Hunt is a very durable player and has been for Spurs all season, so I think she'll be fine for the South Korea game. But it did look much better. It did look a little bit more fluid, albeit I believe the opposition is a lot more exposed. I don't think they had the ability to be as resolute as the Philippines were, at least set up through formation. But, I mean, you'll take a bit of luck on a few of these goals, because Amy Sayer's first goal in the 7th minute, I mean, if she aimed that, sure, I don't think she did, but it's probably a cross. I mean, that's how I see it. But a cross that turns into a shot will always be one of the Olympico sites, I guess, when we call it like that. But it was just cleaner. I feel like they took on the feedback of that first game, nerves and jitters, and I understand it's a home tournament. There's a lot of stress, but also there is stress with being the favourites and all that stuff, and trying to overperform, trying to oversaturate the score sheet. But this game, it was very, very quick, and I mean, it's words that you don't always utter out of your mouth, but I mean, Alana Kennedy brace. Mary Fowler tap in at the back with Ellie Carpenter taking good strikes. I feel like Sam Kerr did her job in the air, setting one down for Kennedy, and
She
then
should have scored more than just
she probably should have scored again, but ultimately I can't ask, like, again, it's a 4-0 performance. It's pretty complete. Obviously, I'd like it to be 5 or 6, but I'm going to take 4 when it happens. This is what I was saying before the tournament, where I think our ceiling is 4 goals. Like I can't recall a time other than the weird and wonderful of the Zambia game. That's what it was. Yeah. The 6-5. Other than that game where we're copping 5 goals at the same time, are we putting in 6 in the net? But this is a weird world where if I told you that Alana Kennedy would be our top goal scorer 2 game weeks in, I don't think I'd believe you. But I mean, what's your verdict at the end of this game? Do you still feel as confident going into a South Korea game, or no?
I think fundamentally what this game showed was the variety of our players, the way that we can change. I think that there was a bit of impetus given to these players now. I think that we can talk about like the reception home, like at home, like, you know, the Australian media was happy that the Tillies got 3 points, but there was like a general, I don't know the word, it's not upsetness, but it's like there was a general underwhelming nature to the win. So people wanted this Tillies team to do better, and I think that they did obviously do better against a weaker opposition, a team that, unlike the Philippines, I think tactically just didn't set up correctly. They tried to do a low block, but I believe a lot of these players come from a futsal, small-sided football background. So I'm not expecting tactical brilliance and defensive masterclass. And as a result, we saw goals go in that in other circumstances wouldn't go in. I just don't think that some of the goals that were scored in this game would go in. And thus, it's interesting to see how we will go into the South Korea game and how we will actually go up against an opposition that is both quite good offensively and offensively to balance that team out. How are they going to score goals that are earned, not just given because the other team is poor, basically?
100%, and it was good to see 5 substitutions used. Seeing
Holly McNamara getting minutes.
Holly Mac get minutes, Remy Simpson getting minutes, albeit, I mean, Remy was through the centre and Holly was on the right. Again, Holly Mac, when am I? It's not Holly Mac Messi. Like, I don't want her on the wing. I don't want her on the right. I want her through the centre. I want us to change to a 2 up front if we're going to play Remy and Holly. Like, I understand Jomo has his system, but again, bringing Torpy in, bringing Michelle in, like, you're bringing on 3 strikers that are all central players. It doesn't feed into their best strengths. They're all shoehorning into a system which will hamper their output. And I don't know. I tend to think in international football that you don't really get, personally, I don't think you get enough time with the players to be able to solidify a system that allows everyone to cater to that system. So when you're 4-0 up...
I think that the Tillies have never done that. I don't think that there's a Matildas team that has ever been on the same page when it comes to style of play and tactics, especially in the modern era. I think that you have to work with what you have, and what they have is a playing group that can easily change and easily adapt to the circumstances. There just haven't been that many circumstances to adapt to because we play crap teams in friendlies, this is what's going to happen.
But does that not, like, so you're 100% right. We have the ability to adapt in some aspects, and we don't always utilize it. But if you bring on Michelle Heyman, Holly Mack, and Remy Simpson, what formation are you playing? Are you playing a 4-3-3 where 2 of them are wingers and are actually
I don't know why at some point you're not moving into a 3-5-2. You're not
there you
completely
go.
So you have to change in game.
So there's a semblance of idealism that Jomo is adopting that I think is inherently optimistic and a bit.
Because you're playing Iran.
Yeah, but the fine. But that's fine. But if you're trying to kill off this game, then why not sub on the defenders and kill it off and have it be like, I don't know, bring on Jamila Rankin and
who wants to kill off a game in light of having only won against the Philippines 1-0? Like,
no, 100%.
I think that this is a game where they want to win. Like,
yeah, no,
by a large margin.
no, 100%. But this is my point, right? Is that bringing on 3 strikers to play in a front three and have 2 play on the wing. I'm not saying that Remy Simpson and Holly Mack can't play on the wing. I understand that they can. I just think their best positions are through the centre. I've seen Remy in the last few weeks in preseason play in a 2 up front. I'm watching Holly play in a 2 up front for Melbourne City, and I'm watching Michelle Heyman play in a 2 up front for Canberra. Yeah. All of them have the capacity to play in a 2 up front. Haven't played in a 3 in a while. Why not switch? Why? I understand having the 3 up front. I just think it's you get the same output from playing 3 central players up top as playing 2 defenders on the wings and then putting a high press and pushing out further and then trying to get a cross into a 1 central attacker. Like, you'll get the same output, if not better defensive output further forward than playing 3 attackers that are all central players, in my opinion.
I think that you'd have to look at the midfield and fullback decisions especially when players come off and players come on. I think Mary Fowler offers just such fantastic distribution through the midfield. She's quite literally the best player creative in that team because she sits 100%. In the center of the park and just gives balls off to the forward line to do wonders. And I think when you take a player off like that, you're losing a lot centrally. So what you need is someone like Remy Simpson to kind of fill that hole, because naturally when you bring on players who are more defensive, they will be sitting back more. And I'm sorry, Alana Kennedy for me is not the answer in the midfield. So of course at some stage you're going to have to be asking, how are we going to be driving our team forward in the midfield? And I think that's where, rightfully so, as you said, we need to stack more players centrally. So you're correct. I just think that Joe Montemurro, I think Joe Montemurro will continue to play this style of play because, as you also said, there's very little time to be chopping and changing. And as I just said, adaptation is not necessarily, it's a bit foreign to this Matildas team, who have played very similar football with the Matildas for a very long time.
Do you expect the lineup to be similar to the Philippines lineup for the South Korea game?
I think it'll actually be incredibly similar, so much so that I think Fowler will be the only starter in that game. I think that everyone else will remain. And it wouldn't surprise me.
Does that mean EVE's off?
I would say that it's probably, well, no, I think it would be Lani off, and it'd be EVE, Gori.
Well, Lani didn't start in that Philippines
Alana
game.
Kennedy. Oh no, sorry. Yes, the Philippines game. So I think it'd be EVE. I think it would be Mary Fowler and Gori. I think that would be our midfield 3, and it wouldn't surprise me.
So Wheeler's doesn't start. That would be the only change from the Philippines.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting. You'd have to see, because I think Claire Wheeler is obviously an asset to this team.
I think it has to be Wheeler. I think other than Gori's ball over to Rass, I didn't see her doing particularly much from that left side, and I really did feel like we spammed that right side.
Yeah, we did.
If I may quote my podcast partner, the spammage was crazy on the right side. Our left side was very null and void, and other than a few Caitlin Ford cutbacks and a few shots that flared wide, I think there is benefit in having Wheeler. And I mean, if Kyra's back, I would love it to be Wheeler, Kyra, and Mary. I think that is the middle. I think we need to move on from the days.
That's the problem.
I think Wheeler can do the defense. I think
single-handedly.
It's not single-handedly, but ultimately, I think Kyra will be forced to be that box to box and has to show her worth. If we're gonna be aggressive, and again, this Jomo idealism, if we want to play this fluid attacking football, it's personally, I don't see it with EVE in the 10. And I mean, Gori can do it. And if it's Gori first and then Kyra comes on, I think I'd be happy with that. I think it should be, if Kyra isn't fit, it should be Gori, Wheeler, and Mary in the 10. And I think you can bring on the experience of Lani and EVE later on in games, as much as I personally don't think we need that, but I know Jomo does, and I know EVE is about to be our most capped Matilda, not far away if we make it through the tournament. I believe it would be the semi-final would be EVE's 170th Matilda's cap, which would overtake Claire Polkinghorne. Shout out to the GOAT, Claire. But I mean, to be fair, I'm rooting for them to tie. I want them to tie. I love Claire Polkinghorne. I think she deserves to be the most capped Tilly. But again, that's not the game. And I mean, EVE has been a servant and did her job against Iran. I can't complain. It was a good ball in for Kennedy's 4th goal. But shout out to Rule and Nevin. I think they came in, and the back four, as much as I can criticize like our midfield output into the forward line and how we transition. Our defensive miserliness has been solid. We haven't copped a goal yet. We haven't really looked like copping a goal, and I understand it is based on opposition, but Rule and Nevin came into the side and it didn't look like we had really missed a step.
I guess this will be our biggest challenge defensively. I have to be honest with you, I'm not secure with it defensively, only because I think that Steph Catley is best in the center of in that center defensive center of defense. I also think that it would be naive to say that this Matildas team is ready to actually face a transitional side like South Korea, who we'll go on to talk about a bit later. But like this South Korea team can easily sneak in behind, slip in a ball, and somebody like Claire Hunt will be challenged. Someone like Winona Heatley, who we have seen be challenged, especially when teams are going on transition domestically, she has been challenged. So this will be the best test for the Matildas, and I mean it'll be the easiest barometer to see how they will play for the rest of this tournament, I think.
Well, I think we should kind of move into it now because we are talking about Group A. It is the big game that is coming up to settle where we end up, what side we end up. A lot of Tilly's chat talking about how we should probably lose this game so we end up on the other side of the draw.
Then we'd play Japan in the final potentially.
Yeah,
like, I think you'd want to play them in the semi.
You'd want to, so you'd rather us get knocked out.
Knock them out. No, well, yes, I would actually,
yeah,
but I would rather you knock them out in the semi and then have all the momentum to go into a final.
Depends. Yeah, depends who you ask. I think personally, I would love us to get to a final. I think there is more like pedigree in winning every game of a tournament, of course, and I don't think the Tillies are going to go out there and lose this game and try and lose this game. Yeah. But I mean, Shin Sang-woo, this lineup, watching the coaching for the Iran game into the Philippines game, it looked like nearly carbon. No, I mean, it was two very different 3-0s, but ultimately the attacking product is sublime. Like I think the way they set up in this, their ability to without the ball set up in a 4-4-2, the ability with the ball to transition into a 4-3-3. It's very progressive. It's very modern football. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel, but ultimately their ability to control the ball, their ability to take relatively high percentage shots and then control possession as well. I think you can't really complain. I mean, they had a stupendously high shot count against Iran in comparison to us. But then even against Philippines, they played that low block. They made quick work of it. I think it's more important to talk about the Philippines game against South Korea because it was 15 minutes in and they'd had two in the net, and it was fast football. It was aggressive football. It doesn't really matter how the ball goes in, but I just think that they are dangerous, and I think they're going to come after us, and they're not going to look at us as the favourites. They're going to go in the same way, and their front three look like they're on fire, to be honest. I think through the centre, their ability to control from defence out to the back. I forgot her name, the right centre half. She's I think she scored the last goal in the Iran game, Eugene Ko. She was fantastic at just being the general, playing it into the midfield, which has Min Young and Yuri obviously on the right side. Yuri is just that absolute speed demon on the right side, and then they swapped wings as well. Like I just think there were so many moments where South Korea look like a side who are ready to get to the final and do what they've done before ultimately.
So this South Korea team is obviously pretty much dictated in their forward line by G, and I think G is inarguably South Korea's best ever player. And I think even though she's not been on the score sheet, this is like a player that is completely dominating in that middle of the park. She had some pretty good opportunities in the first game, but I think she really lit up in the Philippines game. And I think South Korea in general, I mean, we mentioned it last week, how I think that they're always underestimated, because I don't think people necessarily think South Korea are going to play such a style of football that is in your face. It is in your face attacking football. We love to see that, especially in the Asia Cup. And it was a really good relief pill for the stodgy style of football that the Matildas played against the Philippines. But this game, as I mentioned earlier, I don't see how this game isn't the best grouped game out of the whole tournament so far. I think that there's not one game left that sees two quality teams go up against each other and genuinely put on what inarguably would have easily been a semi-final and was a semi-final in the last edition.
Yeah, I think G will be a player to watch against us. I mean, this is a player who's doing it at Birmingham right now, but obviously on loan from Seattle Reign. I wonder whether she gets recalled for the NWSL season. I don't know what the plan is there, but ultimately, I mean, if we stop their wide play, I think they've had a lot of chance creation from their flanks, and the ability to stop their run on the flanks will be down to players like Carpenter and Catley having the freedom to do what they want in the last two games. I mean, obviously having Rule on one side as well, doing that for us. But I don't know what if we're going to keep that lineup from the Philippines, which was probably a sender of what we expect to do. I think we have to take advantage of the fact that there are some players we will have the physical advantage over. I'm looking at Korea's right side that have a bit of an older structure, especially from the centre half position into the right back. This is two experienced players, two generals, but if we're going to, we spanned that right side last time, so we've got to use that left side to attack their right side. And I think we got to nullify their strengths if we're going to do what we do, which is what we're better at. That's what Australia is better at. I know we can talk about playing our football. We are a disruptor side, like from a cultural standpoint. That's what we do. That's what we do when we did it against France, when we did it against Denmark, when we did it against even France in the game before the World Cup. Like, it's about not just us playing our game, but them not playing theirs, being on our tempo. We control possession, we control the counterattacks that happen, and we control the speed of the game. And I hope that we end up on top of Group A, but also, even if we lose, we can go heads up. We gave it a go against a really good team, and then go down the other end, potentially play China or DPRK in a semi, and then get back to South Korea or Japan in the final, which would be likely beneficial for us because, I mean, if we're going off World Cup ranking seeds other than DPRK, it's probably the most beneficial outcome for us.
I think we should go on to DPRK. I think it's a team.
Okay, well, the treats are coming out now. All
Yeah,
right.
I think it's a team.
Do we just come out now? Do we do the disclaimer now? Is this the
What
best point
disclaimer?
to do it?
What
The disclaimer
disclaimer?
that we are like shilling DPRK for this entire tournament. The fact that we watch them and we like silently like praise Supreme Leader and go, wow, how good is this team to watch? Honestly, they are.
It's the best team
ridiculous.
in the tournament. It's so easily the best team in the tournament. The most great team to watch, like a genuinely great team and a great viewing experience. Like if you are a neutral and you're sitting down and you wanted to put a game on, you watch North Korea. And I don't think that was a statement a lot of people were saying before this game, because a lot of people thought this is just a team that were good in the past, are good with their kids, and now have to like face it up in the big leagues. And that's just not true. Like, this is a team that like systemically is or has a winning culture, and systemically has a style of football that is incredibly good and incredibly prolific when it comes to scoring goals, as we've seen in the last two games.
Yeah, it's so clinical. It's so direct. It's also just, what's so scary about it is, for how many years are they going to be doing this? How many years will they, like, if they win this tournament, which is very likely. I'm not saying they are the favourites, but optically, the way they play football, the way they set up their structure, look, I think Japan will build into this tournament and we'll get to their game eventually. But like, the chance creation, their ability to move the ball at speed, the ability to draw fouls, it's like I'm watching prime lionesses in some ways. The way they're pulling into positions of note and then going after their oppositions. They made light work of their bottom two team seeds in the groups, and they are already through to the knockout stages after their win against Bangladesh today. But I think it's better to focus on that first half of that Uzbekistan game, where you have a player like Myong, who also, I mean, scored a penalty in the Bangladesh game as well, but he's not missing penalties, scored a first half hat-trick of absolute pearlers, but to win those penalties, the positions they're getting in, and I understand it isn't the highest ranked teams, but you can't choose your opposition, and we've come up against opposition and not done the same. And I think going into this tournament, I think it was a little bit of, okay, they're young. A lot of these players have won the under 21s World Cup recently. A few of these players won the under 19s World Cup recently, I believe it was, or the 17s a few years ago. But this is a squad that kind of knows each other, plays with each other a lot in comparison. But it is quite impressive to watch them drive down the wing, play aggressive, pressing football, and then I'm really excited to see them in their group take a game like China. North Korea v China will be a crazy game because China are also very good. China did provide the goods against Bangladesh and are playing Uzbekistan in a few hours from now, and I expect them to dismantle Uzbekistan as well. But it is kind of this thing where you have these two hierarchical teams within the respective groups. Japan's group's a little bit different, obviously, but Australia and South Korea, China and DPRK, they're the two titans of their group, and when they play each other, it will reveal. I can't wait for this third match day because it will reveal all about where we're going, the trajectory of this cup, but also where the standards lie. How, if North Korea can play their football against China, it will send a huge message to the rest of the competition. The same way, if the Tillies go out there and beat South Korea, then we can start doing okay, this is for real, the Tillies are on for this one. Whereas I haven't just seen it yet. I don't know, we've had moments now, but I'm waiting for us to do it against South Korea so that I can start going crazy and being okay, this is the one. But Jesus, I watched North Korea and I think that midfield, that young and hungry midfield through Myong and then playing balls into Kim at the top. I'm very nervous to play against them.
I think I have to disagree slightly in terms of how I think that the final group games will impact, say, the knockouts, only because I think North Korea are just so much better than China. It truly is a bit of a Japan Chinese Taipei situation, in my opinion. There are levels here. Chinese Taipei, similarly to China, they're fine teams. Obviously, China are reigning champions. They had a very, very good generation that also went to a World Cup. But this is a team that has not been good in the last 12 months, and I don't necessarily think played very well in their first group match. I think that they had many offsides. We can talk about it a little bit, but there wasn't necessarily someone or something that said to me that this team is going to actually challenge North Korea. And what I've seen from North Korea is a team that isn't just willing to take any team on, but is willing to completely destroy that team. Bangladesh, they beat 5-0 today, coming off the back of a 3-0 win against Uzbekistan. That's the highest goals of any team this tournament. And it wouldn't surprise me if they then also don't take a conservative route going into the knockout football. I think that it won't surprise me if they beat teams 2-3-0, even against quote unquote better opposition.
I wonder whether looking at a team like China, seeing a coach like Ante Milicic, this is not again a coach that we've seen before. We've seen him do things for MacArthur and the Tillies. Ultimately, not a particularly historic run for either side, I will say, but
not the mighty Bulls of MacArthur.
No, don't. How dare you take away? They're not Western. They exist. They matter. But Ante Milicic's tenure there, albeit a different story, but. He's not someone that's just going to get walked over, I guess. He's going to put the pressure on. He's going to show what he thinks he can provide against a team like DPRK. I think they actually have more depth, I will say. I think DPRK's 11, I would say there is an argument to say that the flanks, the central, probably the midfield four get in, but the front two, it's very close. It's closer than I think. I don't know if you'd say it's 11 players that are DPRK and 0 Chinese players, but ultimately I think it isn't as far off as you think they will be. And I think, I think DPRK will concede this game. I do think they win, but I do think they concede, and it'll show the character. It'll show the character of both sides. We get to download information, and that's what we need. That's what the Tillies need. If we're going to win this tournament, we need to be watching these games. We need to be disrupting their flows. We need to be seeing the weaknesses, and we only get those weaknesses if we don't see teams that are just clean sheeting other teams. This is what I've seen so far. We haven't copped a goal. South Korea hasn't copped a goal. China hasn't copped a goal. DPRK hasn't copped a goal. Neither is Japan. It's hard to gauge what's going to happen when we haven't seen the expositions yet. And I'm really excited. And I mean, look, as much as I love watching Bangladesh try and play a 3-4-3 through China in the middle of the day, I've got no issue with that. I will watch it, no questions asked. But I do think China and DPRK are not on form, but are second to a titan that is Japan. If we're going to move to the last group, I think the Vietnam-India game, we will give it the respect it deserves because it ended so well.
It was such a good game.
Yeah, it was a crazy, crazy game. But we'll start with the Japan-Taipei game, which had Tanikawa and a substitute goal, and the assist from Chiba, Frankfurt legend, and a goal from Kiko Seika, who is literally allergic to getting on the score sheet in the last 6 to 7 weeks. She's been absolutely sublime. But I did ask you last week how this Japan midfield will look, and you did say that it would be the Hasegawa, Tanikawa, Miyazawa play, but Miyazawa's sitting on the bench. That's insane with the season she's had for United. They're playing Nagano, and I do kind of get it because Nagano's last month and a half for Liverpool has been nothing short of brilliance. But seeing this team probably not being to the level I thought they would be. Again, I think it was a little bit of that Tilly's curse. I expect them to pack inside. Even seeing Koga on the bench and then playing Minami and Takahashi as the two main centre halves with Shimizu and Kitagawa either side. It is a serious 11. But then what was more scary was just seeing that bench. Seeing Seika, Miyazawa, Chiba. They didn't use Koba. Hayashi's on the bench. Saki Kumagi is on the bench. Ueki's on the bench. These are players that are really, really good. And this just shows their depth in the WSL, their depth in other leagues as well. But I'm very impressed. And then I've got to give my credit to Niels as well, who look, this is no longer the Danish era, the Swiss era of Niels Nielsen. This is a Japanese side that I think he is having an absolute ball with, specifically the depth. And he's probably going into this tournament saying, I'm about to add a trophy to my resume right now.
I think that we should also give a bit of credit to Chinese Taipei. 43 combined clearances between the defense is incredible. I think that Japan easily could have scored 4 or 5 goals, but I think the substitution by Nils was fantastic. I think it added a bit of life into this game. It obviously resulted in goals, but I also think that this Japan team will ease into this tournament. I didn't expect a massive blowout in the first game against Chinese Taipei, but what I hope to see coming up is games where Japan really take their opposition kind of by the throat and shake them around a little bit. I want to see a Japanese team that kind of what we've seen in the last 12 months in their best moments, just completely break a team down so much so that they're completely left to dust and Japan is scoring 3 or 4 goals. So to me, Japan, as we mentioned, are easily one of the favorites, if not the favorite. And this game is probably not the sense of what we'll get for the rest of the tournament, but is a good kind of jumping off point for what we will see.
Yeah, 100%. And having India and Vietnam means they can chop and change, they can mix and match, they can allow rest and time for players. I know Fujino didn't get on the score sheet, but there were moments in that first half where I just felt like I was watching City Ball again. She just had the space and the freedom to do what she wanted, and will get her step on anyone because that's what she does. the last game we will talk about is that Vietnam-India game, a game that we've kind of just dubbed the ultimate like Sunday League masterclass in a
Yeah.
way. I mean, look, touted as probably just a curtain raiser in a way, 36th in the world versus 67th in the world, but honestly, like hats off to both sides for providing a true spectacle. I mean, it was aggressive football. I know Vietnam played like a pseudo 3, pseudo 5, deeper play, but again, you do what you have to do to get through this tournament football. But that goal in the 94th minute, I mean, there was a goal in the 30th minute, India equalised in the second half, and then the 94th minute for Van Sunyan to get on the score sheet. I mean, that get her brace, get her winner. I mean, look, this is what this tournament is about. It's about announcing yourself, being yourself, expressing yourself on the pitch. And I think, I mean, again, this is why we love football. And I mean, this extends to every team that we've watched so far, that the importance of football goes beyond any semblance of like political ideology, how we may feel about any country. Like it is just 11v11 out there, and we absolutely adore it. It doesn't matter who you are. We are watching it for football's sake, but we're also watching it for players to have the freedom to play the beautiful game, the sweet science. Like this is our sport. This is the sport that is a universal language. You put a ball and 2 goals on either side of any place in the world, and the code, the language is the same. It doesn't matter what you speak. I think the symbols are monotonous, and when you're watching games like this, it just shows how far football extends. And like India's a country of 1 billion people, right?
Yeah.
Like, and this was still a moment. Like when you're getting these games, you're getting these moments and these goals. Having a player like Nongrum off the bench to get their first goal of this tournament. This is like, it becomes like trivia. Like you need to know, if you're a person in India who loves football, who scored the first goal at the recent Asian Cup. This is where it begins. This is where it starts. Like, and every player who's a part of this, and we've got goals galore. We haven't had a single 0-0 just yet in this tournament, which is fantastic. And I think that's what football's all about, really.
Yeah, I think that was really well said. I think the only thing I could add to this game is that like this is the first time India scored in 23 years. Like this is in the Asian Cup. Like this is incredible. And to see like you're watching a game and you know that it's the inception of something that in years to come will be an established participator in not only Asian Cups but World Cups. And I think that that's kind of the awesome things about intracontinental tournaments is that we're getting kind of a glimpse into what the foundations are of a World Cup, run. What we see from teams like North Korea who haven't gotten like time to actually be exposed to, the general world. And then we see how we play. And then you see teams like India who I don't think like, you can go based on numbers of who's actually at these games. But I don't think many people would have seen this game. And I think that's really disappointing because I think you're actually seeing a team of India that is not touted as being a football nation actually put up a really, really decent display, if not the closest display that we had this whole tournament so far. So I don't know, if you haven't watched the game, watch the highlights. They're very, very fun.
100%. And I mean, it extends. I mean, this is the whole thing. It extends to what's happening off the field, to the things that we probably should have talked about at the start of the podcast. But ultimately, like we need tournaments like this. It's not about the level, it's about the space. And I think the level only gets better when we provide the spaces too. And there are parts of the world that aren't providing the spaces and the funds and the facilities. And I mean, you can even go to entire continents and football federations right now that are failing their subjects, are failing their federations, are failing their countries of football. But I mean, to see Iran out there, to see the Iranian women stand up for themselves and what they believe in on the pitch, with what they're going through, what their country's going through, and what they're being told after games, what media things are coming out after their games. It is absolutely like jaw-dropping. It's inspiring to see them stand up for themselves, and I think it's good for players like Sam Kerr to back the players, to stand with the players, because that's how it is. It's not about the federations. We don't stand with our federation's response. We stand with players who stand with other players, and I think that's. I mean, look, I don't know if Sam Kerr knows the political complexities of what's going on around the world, but what I do know is she knows what it means to be a footballer at the highest level for any country, and she knows what it means to be the best player of a country. And when she sees her opposition, she treats it as if it's any other opposition, and that's how we have to do it. And it was I don't know, there was just this moment where you're watching the Iran game and you're watching the national anthem, and you're just you take it in for what this tournament actually means for these players.
Yeah, of course. And I think the football is doing the talking right now. I think everything external to that is honestly just a bunch of like Western nonsense. We don't know the nuances and the cultural ties that these teams have to their country, which I know you can obviously tell is quite deep, and you wouldn't be representing a country that you don't believe and support in, and thus these teams, all of them, are representing not only like a country but like completely detached to whatever political situation is happening, the people of that country, like the standard everyday person who like puts their TV on and just wants to watch other people like them representing their country in, like, is some place in northern Queensland. Like, this is incredible, just in terms of how this particular tournament reaches so many people.
I mean, yeah, 100%. Even like watching, there was just this very funny moment when you're watching a player like Angela Beard, who's playing for the Philippines, tackling Hayley Raso, and there's a little bit of Queensland fury in that tackle, a little bit of spice. But I mean, that's all I really have for the Asia Cup. That's all we will cover. But I mean, the games will come. We'll be at the next round. We'll be at the next game week. We will be there when it all goes up in flames, to be honest, because I'm very, very nervous for the rest of this tournament.